Is James Bolig. I reside at 335 Tamarack Lane in Rutland, Vermont. And my name has been mispronounced so many times that I respond to any pronunciation.
Okay. Mr. Davis.
Could I ask first, and I did see your testimony at the Planning Commission, could I just ask first to briefly give who you are, what you are, how you relate to this project?
Yes, I'm the Chief Development Officer for Repower South. I also am the inventor of the technology and sponsor of the technology. But I think probably my prouder moment is really that I'm the founder and former CEO of the largest recycling business in North America called Recommunity, which is operating 35 or 36 large-scale material recovery facilities up and down the eastern seaboard and across the country. And so I come to this project first and foremost with a strong passion toward sustainability, recovery, and what we're doing with our waste streams other than what we've traditionally done with those waste streams in America. My previous life included 25 years of building and developing a solid waste company in Vermont, from about $10 million to $700 million, including taking it public. And so I come to this not only with a passion for sustainability, but with a deep appreciation for the troubles that are associated with handling solid waste and how we have to deal with this in the future, most of which manifest themselves in the technology that was developed here and that has been proven and that we would like to have you take under consideration.
I was a little skeptical of all this, and of course I did a lot of research over the past 3 months. I think I Googled too much. Is this the same, essentially comparable to the City of Industry, I know the end product, they do organic processing at the end, where you're going to be doing the pellets. But the City of Industry site, which is around Los Angeles, it appeared to me that they've been doing this for quite a while, and in fact have also reinvested it again. So could you just briefly?
Yes, sir. Actually, this is the proposed facility is actually preceded by half a dozen facilities, most of which are out on the West Coast. The facility you're referring to is the Athens Waste Services facility, which is in Los Angeles effectively. And that is a processing facility that takes solid waste and recovers all of the recoverable recyclables from that stream. Monterey has just announced a similar facility, and there are 3 or 4 other facilities that have been built and are operating.
There's a concern about the flooding of the river, or the flooding if there is a flood. What precautions are you taking for that?
The regulatory scheme in Virginia is quite clear. We'll have to go through a Virginia Department of Environmental Quality permitting scheme, and that's the regulatory scheme, and that scheme will require that the entire facility be constructed above the 100-year floodplain, which is very easily accomplished on this particular site.
And the word leachate, which I learned about a month ago, and is one of those words that when my time comes up on council will come out of my brain. My understanding of this is not an open landfill, so there's not a lot of rain, there's not a lot of hurricanes, there's not a lot of, that's what creates a lot of the leachate. So my understanding is, because it's all indoor, it's minimal leachate, but where does that go?
Leachate is a term that refers primarily to landfill management, as you suggested. It primarily is the runoff from rainwater flowing through a landfill. In this particular instance, we're not building or operating anything close to a landfill. What we have is a self-contained tipping floor in which the only water that can enter into this floor is that may be in the back of trucks coming from open containers. And all of that is fully contained in a controlled tankage system that's installed as part of the overall plan, and that system in turn is sampled and then only discharged to the sewer system after it passes its sewer discharge permit requirements.
I have two more questions. One, tonight, and I asked this at the work session, this is a approval of a private business on a private piece of property. It's not a decision of what SIPSA does. SIPSA is making their own decisions. We have no control over SIPSA except as a participant. But I guess my question for the citizens, I'd like to know what happens if the SIPSA contract isn't provided to you? What happens, if the city of Chesapeake, what is it? I understand the backup plan and is the landfill, wheelabrator, whatever, and I don't want to get into those because they don't apply tonight. But I'm asking you, what's the backup plan? If SIPSA does not award this contract, what is the backup plan?
Well, I'm probably not the best spokesman for SIPSA or not the spokesman at all for SIPSA.
Right.
But with my experience in solid waste, I would give you my perspective, which is all I can do. I will tell you that the MSA, the statistical area, municipal statistical area, generates over 1.4 million tons of waste. And a majority of that waste is either handled by landfills or your existing 35-year-old waste energy plant. And so I would expect that the incumbent organizations would be forced to continue to rely upon that. In the case of SIPSA, they have a landfill called a regional landfill, and it does have quite a bit of life, but having built and operated 15 landfills in the Northeast, I can tell you that they are a treasure that should be preserved for as many generations as possible. I think many of you here in the Norfolk market could appreciate with the water table that there will probably be few additional landfills permitted in your lifetime. And so I would urge you to try to utilize that landfill over the longest number of generations possible. Unfortunately, if SIPSA does not move in this direction, they will probably have to rely upon that standby, which is being used across the country in more limited cases, primarily for the same reasons, which is that people would like to not put materials in landfill. They would like to recover the waste stream that's possible, and they'd like to extend the utility of these landfills for as long as possible.
I did not mean the alternatives. I meant what happens to your facility on this site if you do not get the SIPSA contract.
We will not build this facility. We responded to an RFP. And we're a sole customer response, so if we're not able to conclude negotiations with SIPSA, this facility will not be built. And
then the three stipulations, the three additional things that were stated tonight, is there any difficulties with those? I don't want them read into the record, and presuming that you've discussed or have not discussed those. Can we get feedback on those?
Yes, sir. I have actually read the stipulations. I was provided a copy. I will tell you that they're pretty reasonable in the sense that the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality, as a condition of their permit, requires that we post a closure bond associated for the exact remedy that's specified in condition 24 and 23. So complying with that requirement will be basically belt and suspenders to the state requirements that will have us posting a cash bond associated with that very activity. So I think the requirements developed by the staff or by the city are reasonable and easily accomplishable.